Hello, it is me, Pearl, from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Pearl. And we are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine energy inside of self. Understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to see change, we do need to shift and change the energy within. And hopefully my readings help you to move into an internal state where you are no longer emotionally dependent upon your reality changing, because that is where the magic happens. And hopefully you will learn more about that through this reading and through all the other readings you can find here on YouTube. Make sure you're looking under not only just the video tab, but also the live tab, because there's hundreds of videos under both tabs. So if you are ever sad that I only post twice a week now, you have much timeless content to go through. For those of you that are interested in booking services with me, I would take advantage of my current pricing structure and services, because those are all about to drastically change in a couple of weeks. So I think the cutoff point for my current services will probably be a week from now. And there is that really special deal that you get 2 hour-long sessions for the price of one. Plus you can take 30% off using the code PRAYER30, PRAYER 30. So take advantage of that to get that discount and get your readings done before the holidays. I would highly recommend that. All right, let's take a look at the overall energy of the divine masculine and the divine feminine for the week ahead. The divine masculine starts us out with this High Priestess card. And this High Priestess is not a very friendly looking one. She is definitely an elevated energy, a higher than thou kind of a thing. And she looks pretty intimidating here. She's also very secretive. We can't tell who she is underneath all of these trappings and this armor. She's also armed. So she looks like she might be a bit on the defense. And that's the energy I'm picking up from the masculine, that his perception of the feminine right now is that she is not quite readable. Like, he can't quite get a sense of where she's at. He understands what she's saying, if for the feminine energy that has been expressing, but he's not entirely sure what hides behind the words she's saying. So there's some trust issues going on. But I don't necessarily think it is that he doesn't know if he can trust her, like as if she's being deceitful. It's more that he can trust himself to be able to clearly understand what she's saying, to believe what she's saying himself. So I'm not seeing him being like, oh, whatever she's saying, she's lying about it. It's just like the things that she doesn't know, the things that are hidden, that I've been afraid to reveal. It's possible that those things might actually cause her to not be able to follow through on what it is that she has said. So if you've said to your person, it's safe for you to speak to me, I forgive you, whatever it is, we can put it behind us, we can put it in the past. It's like they're thinking, yes, I believe them. I believe that that's how they feel right now. But once I tell them the secrets that are hidden here, I don't know if that's exactly how they'll feel. So that's the overall energy here. Some fear about the things that are hidden and not necessarily knowing if they can trust this feminine energy to remain maybe in this elevated state. Also, a little bit of the fear just simply that the feminine energy is just able to perceive, that she can just tell what's going on. It's not difficult for her to do that. She just picks up on it. So there's something about that going on too. For the feminine energy, I'm using the Wise Dog Tarot. The other deck I was using is the Labyrinth Tarot. And she has the same kind of feeling that she doesn't know what is hidden here. She doesn't, there's deep emotions, there's deep feelings. But when she's looking at them, all she can really see is just the surface of those things. She can't really see what is true or not. So there is a feeling here of mystery, a little bit of anxiety about not knowing what to expect, because all she can really see is what's on the surface. What's on the surface is her own thoughts and feelings and desires reflected back to her, and she's loyal, and she's thinking and feeling like, well, I'm loyal, but am I only seeing loyalty in this other person because that's where I am? And were I to look deeper, what would I really see? So what it seems like to me is that there has been some kind of a shift in the dynamic in this relationship, where there is maybe an offer on the table, or some kind of like offer of like an openness to a discussion. And now both parties are a little bit like, okay, now what is what I can I believe what I'm seeing? Can I trust my feelings? Can I trust their feelings will stay the same once hidden things are revealed? And I think both of them really are feeling that. It's not just one over the other. There's also a feeling of just general, because the High Priestess is often associated with that masculine feminine balance dynamic, the black and white pillars normally depicted on the card. And the moon card also has this kind of feminine masculine pulling energy. There is like this cosmic element, maybe astrological events, things to do with the moon, but there's some major shift happening right now this week. And what's underlying that energy for the masculine is the Six of Swords. This is what's that called? It's escaping me. A Pips deck, where the minor suits are just, whatever the object is, it's just repeated. It doesn't have like a lot of imagery. I think that's interesting, because I do think the masculine energy is having a hard time visualizing exactly what's going to happen, which is part of that High Priestess energy of like things being hidden, and until they're revealed, it's like we don't know what's going to happen. But this is a Six of Swords, and the Six of Swords, or the Six of Feathers in this deck, is about traveling, and it is about moving from a place that was painful, uncomfortable, to a more peaceful place. And it can also be about carrying the lessons of the past with you so that you don't repeat the same cycles in this new place. Divine feminine energy is underlying her overall energy this week is the Nine of Pentacles. This feels good to me. This feels like a Nine of Pentacles where she's really taking care of herself. She's tending to her garden. She's able to enjoy some of the fruits of her labor. And there is this sense that she's very confident about the feeling that whatever is meant to be cannot be taken from me. So if this connection with this person is meant to happen, despite her feelings of not being entirely sure if she can trust what she sees, she's just trusting in general. If it's meant to happen, it will. I feel that she has this sense of loyalty, and she feels like there is the possibility that it will be reflected back to her, and she's just kind of like letting that be the outlook that she has. This is like a positive outlook I'm getting that's underlying this energy for both of them too. For the divine masculine of like, I'm moving on from the painful aspects of the past. I don't know that I can entirely trust what the future is going to look like or even get a sense of it. It's kind of a mystery to me. But I feel movement. I feel like we're going somewhere. That's the feeling. This week, it feels like we are going somewhere. Okay, Divine Masculine, what is he thinking? So we have a little bit of overthinking. What is he thinking? Again, having a hard time with clear imagery, but we've got the Nine of Wands coming up with the Ten of Cups. So this is what he thinks about the Divine Feminine. The Nine of Wands is an energy of feeling exhausted and isolated, having gone and licked your wounds and kind of separated yourself from others and built up a bit of a wall. And in this case, used your wounding as a crutch so that you were not moving forward towards what it is that you dreamed was possible, because the Ten of Cups is like your spiritual fulfillment, your bliss, the thing that would make you the most happy in the world, or all the things that would make you the most happy person in the world. And there's this element of, using victim mentality as a crutch. So Divine Masculine is thinking that the Divine Feminine perceives him this way, that their possibility of future happiness he has put on hold because of his wounding, and used that as like an excuse, that he's basically made a lot of excuses. I'm getting this as a self-flagellating energy and not something he's projecting to the feminine. I don't think he's seeing her in victim mentality or anything. It's giving a feeling really about being about the self. And the 9 and the 10 is showing progress. This could also be somebody who has isolated themselves to heal, particularly from an issue with drinking, with substance abuse of some kind, or a habit, poor eating, poor nutrition, but something where this person has separated themselves to try to make themselves feel more healed, more whole, and maybe that's part of the secrecy here, is that there is a bit of embarrassment over the reasons for not being able necessarily to follow through on some of the promises of that Ten of Cups that have lingered between the two of them. Divine Feminine energy, what are you thinking about the Divine Masculine right now? We have the Five of Wands. So she's feeling right now that, or thinking right now rather, that there is some kind of an obstacle that's still there. I'm seeing all these dogs and their mouths are closed. Some of these images have dogs with mouths open, but this one, for whatever reason, I'm really noticing that they all have their mouths closed. And none of them are actually looking in the same direction. So there's some thoughts going on right now the feminine has about the masculine, that there is some obstacle for him to actually speak or say anything to her. And she's wondering if there are others competing for his time and energy. This could be in romantic relationships, but it doesn't have to be at all. It could be thoughts of, like their working career, the people they have obligations to, past family members, whatever. But just people that are kind of in the way of that Four of Wands that comes before this card. They would have a stable, healthy relationship if it weren't for the fact that there are these things that are clearly preventing that from happening, and there's no conversation going on about it. That's what the Divine Feminine is thinking. What is the masculine energy feeling right now towards feminine energy? We have the Three of Junk in this deck, or the Three of Pentacles. This is a card about building a sanctuary and working together, but in this deck we're seeing that there's these broken wheels and like this strangely crooked utensil. It's giving a sense that one of the things I think that has happened has been broken trust, right? A situation where there were promises made that were broken, or, you know, some kind of like a third party situation where there was somebody that got between them and it broke down their ability to like have something going on in the 3D. I really get a sense that this divine masculine is actually thinking and feeling a lot more about himself than he is about feminine energy right now. This does seem to be a very self-focused energy, because I don't see this Three of Pentacles as what he's feeling the feminine energy has done, like broken trust or has this other person involved. It gives me much more of a sense that he's feeling that the feminine perceives him this way. And there's a desire here to work together. And I think a feeling that despite the fact that there has been some wounding and there has been some breakdown in the communication and the connection, I do think the masculine is feeling that the feminine does want to work with him, that it's not a resistant energy. Like, no matter what has happened, it seems she still has the desire to try to fix things together in the 3D. The feminine energy, how is she feeling about the masculine? Okay, the Ten of Wands. So she hasn't gotten off this. This came up, I think, last week from a different deck in the same position. She is feeling rather burdened. She feels like she is still carrying the burden of expression in the connection. She's doing it from a pure heart, but she is exhausted by it, and she does not want to do that anymore. Now, the good news is that both of these cards are about sharing work, sharing labor. So I do think both of them feel that it is time to share the burden of the connection and work together on it, so that there's not an imbalance where one person is doing this alone. We also have a 10-10 here for completion, and it's giving me a sense, because we have the 10 of Cups and now the 10 of Wands, it's giving me a sense that there has likely been something significant that has passed on yesterday, which would have been 10-10. If this is a timeless reading, it doesn't matter if it wasn't 10-10 yesterday, but something yesterday that happened whenever you see this likely had some kind of an effect where something was completed and it's brought something that was ongoing to a halt. So what is Divine Masculine saying to Divine Feminine right now? Okay, the Eight of Wands. Okay, this is interesting. This is not a straightforward Eight of Wands. Normally the wands are all flying in one direction, and it's about communication, expression, and going with the flow. But very interestingly, in this deck, we're seeing that the wands are kind of all over the place. And in between them, we have these two, again, crutches, which makes me go back to that Nine of Wands and the feeling or the thoughts that masculine was having, that he used something as an excuse. And so I think what he's saying is that the Divine Masculine feels, or he's saying that he doesn't necessarily think of himself as able to find the words to say, and he leans on that lack of communication skills as a crutch in this conversation that needs to be had. But he is well aware that a conversation must be had. There also these clusters of three. It's giving me that third party energy again, and also patience and faith. But this idea that there are these other parties that or conversations that have to be had about third parties on both sides. So like there are things that divine feminine 311, when I'm saying this, things that divine feminine needs to talk to the masculine about in regards to third party energy in her life, maybe broken trust issues that we saw, because maybe for some they do feel that the feminine energy broke their trust somehow, or just the conversation about how masculine energy broke trust in regards to a third party. But I think it's a two-way street. That's the energy I'm getting from this. The masculine is saying like, yes, we need to talk. There are some things we need to talk about. There's a lot of things we need to talk about. And that's a little bit why I don't know where to start. And I think both of us have been using these indirect modes of communication to avoid these uncomfortable topics. And he's saying to her, I'm aware, which is great. Divine feminine, what is she saying to divine masculine? This dog is so cute. I love a Frenchie. Okay, the world. So she's saying to a certain extent, look, I'm done doing things the way that we've been doing things in the past. I want to start a new cycle. I want to put the past behind us. I want this new cycle to be one where we're working towards peace between one another. I've closed out major cycles in my life. If there was third party energy on the feminine side, that's no longer a thing. I also see the way that this dog is looking very lovingly and like adoringly. It's like, I want you to understand that you are the center of my world. Because I've put myself at the center of my world, I also have that ability to now put you there. Like before, you were there and I disregarded my needs. But now it's like the relationship between us can be centered. And there's healing that I want to accomplish. And that needs to be done through this bringing organization to all of the chaos that's existed. And we can only do that through, as the masculine has said, communication. Now, divine masculine, what is he actually doing? He's saying, okay, conversations need to be had on both sides. It's difficult for me. It's not straightforward for me. But what's he actually doing? Exactly what the divine feminine was thinking. We have the 5 of Wands, only it's the 5 of junk. So he's letting a lot of junk, a lot of very frivolous, unnecessary distraction type energy block him from doing what he's saying he wants to do. He is prioritizing the other people around him. He is actually allowing those things to compete with the time and energy that he seems to want to put into the relationship, but still isn't. Now, when we procrastinate with something, I feel that it's not because we just have a horrible character flaw. I think procrastination really comes from anxiety. And it is just a way to postpone something that the ego fears happening. So if you, I postponed getting my license transferred. I knew my license was going to expire on my birthday, which was in July. And I didn't do it because I was afraid that it wasn't going to be simple and straightforward because of lots of reasons. A lot of all these miscellaneous reasons, excuses, etc. And I was afraid that it was going to be financially difficult. I was afraid that maybe I wouldn't even be able to do it. There was all these fears I had about it. And so I really avoided actually doing it. When it got to be around the time of my birthday, I knew that I couldn't avoid it anymore. And I made plans to get my license. But then my uncle got sick and passed away, and it just didn't seem like something that we really had the time for. Then we had to pack up my grandmother's house and sell it and put stuff in storage and go through all of these old things, and that took weeks and weeks. And then my dad has to now go and have a major heart surgery. And so all these things were piling up. There were all these things that kept making it just easy for me to procrastinate. Finally, yesterday, after realizing that, number one, my dad is going to have surgery. He's not going to be able to drive himself for 6 weeks, and I want to be able to drive him around, and I want to be able to help my mom and go to the store and things like that. And my mom, and when they're in Syracuse for the surgery, I wanted to be able to like drive myself to and from Syracuse if need be. So I needed to get it, and there was just really no way around it anymore. And it took me a few weeks like to find my documentation that I needed, pull things together, and finally my brother took me yesterday and I just got it. And it was relatively painless. It was actually really painless. It was the woman that was there to, like, keep in mind, when I've gone to the DMV for the last decade or 2 decades, it's been in a major city. And now I'm in a small town, and I walked into this like very small room, and there were people that I've known all my life there. And so there was like nobody that was like antagonistic, or they just wanted to help me. You know, it was really, I really built that shit up in my head. But I was really protecting myself from things I feared would happen, none of which happened. Now I have my license, and I can drive and fly and all the things that I need to do. And it was really easy. So I feel that the divine masculine is using all these outside distractions for the same reason that I used all of my outside distractions to not get my license, which is something I really wanted to have. Like, I really wanted to. I didn't want it to be like, Mom, can you drive me to the store? I'm 43 years old, right? And so I think the same thing is happening. There is this fear that the masculine has about the conversation that has to be had, about the things that are going to be said. Remember, we've got that high priestess energy. He doesn't know what the secrets are, and he's afraid to find out. And he doesn't know whether his secrets are going to affect how loving and open and kind this feminine energy seems to be or appears to be. So that's why he's doing this. That's why he's actually throwing up these blocks or obstacles. Well, I have to go here. Well, I have to do this first. Well, first I have to do that. Well, I should do this first. Well, I've got to do that. Now I have to do, well, this is that. I really want to do that. I do want to do that, but like I should do this first. This needs to be done first. And so this really has to change. If this doesn't shift for the masculine energy, nothing's going to happen. Now, the good news is my masculine energy did shift this. Like, the realization that, like, it's literally now or never, bro. Like, if I don't get my license, then I'm going to have, first of all, more discomfort with my mother, which I do not want, because she's going to be annoyed, and that's just not something you want to deal with. I'm going to maybe start to run the risk of having to like literally take another road test and a written test to even get a license again if I just keep procrastinating because my license is expired. It's going to affect whether I can get paid. It's going to affect like all these things. Like, I can't avoid this anymore. And I just went and did it. And then I was like, oh, that was great. And I felt great afterwards. I was like, I feel so good. I kept saying like, I have my license. I have my license. My family's like, yeah, congratulations. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. My fear and anxiety about that was crippling. And now it's not. Okay. So I have a good feeling that this is the week that the masculine energy has that exact experience, because I just had it. So, and it was on 10/10 that I had that experience. I don't think that's, at all a coincidence. 5/5 here and 10/10. Come on. So, as in the past, if I would have pulled this, I would have been like, fuck that. But I actually don't feel that way at all. I feel like the fact that I picked this deck today and that it's junk, this is literally junk, is for me the masculine energy being like, this is not all these things that I am prioritizing are worthless things. What is really meaningful, I know what that is, and I know that I need to do it. So I see him breaking through this obstacle. If I had reversals, this card would be reversed in this deck. This would be no more blocks. He is finally breaking through what has been holding him back. But the reasons that were holding him back were totally valid. But there was not a single reason I had that wasn't valid. Now, were they all illusions? Yes. 100%. All illusions. None of what I was afraid would happen happened. And all I was really afraid of was the discomfort, the experience, having to maybe go, find out I needed to go get another document, or I had to pay some bill or something, that because I have a fear of money, like whatever. Valid, but completely illusions. And I think the masculine energy is realizing this. Divine Feminine, what is she actually doing? Interesting. We have the Seven of Swords here and the German Shepherd. That is a very protective energy, a guarded energy. So I see Divine Feminine protecting herself from the experience of having something taken away from her, which has happened to her before. So she's on guard. She's like, this person that I love has seemingly been deceitful in the past. And so I can't be certain, right? I can't be certain if what I'm seeing is truly a reflection of me, or if there are these deeper hidden things that I'm not picking up on because of the loyalty and the love that I have towards this person. So I'm being careful. I'm going carefully. I'm going strategically. I'm not being impulsive. I'm like getting a sense of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Also, with all these, this is 5 swords in the mouth and 2 swords back here. This is giving me a sense of giving up communication and letting this masculine energy decide now to move forward and communicate. Because look at how these things, if you're trying to hold on to these swords, you can't open your mouth to talk. So I get a sense that she's like, okay, I'm going to hold back and not speak now. Not in a manipulative way, in a protective way, in a guarded way, with an understanding that if I keep this conversation one-sided, it will forever be one-sided. It's time now for this masculine to choose to communicate. So that's what she's doing. So this week she's going to guard her energy. She's not going to say much. She's going to remain silent. And I've learned my lesson in the past, and I'm not going to continue to perpetuate those same behaviors, right? Because the World card is here. I'm done. 10-10. Done. Okay? So what will create more harmony between what the masculine and feminine are thinking, saying, and doing? For the masculine energy, we have exactly what will create more harmony. Communication. This is the only sword that came up other than the 6 of Swords, which was underlying the energy. Now, the fact that that card is there is showing me that they are going somewhere, and it's somewhere new, and it's somewhere better. And the only way for that to happen is for this to happen. So that to break through, to cut out these avoidant behaviors and just get straight to the point. And it's so easy. It's like when I walked into the DMV and was like, hi. And the woman was like, oh, hi. And then she was like, are you so-and-so's daughter? And I was like, yes. And she's like, I used to babysit you. And I looked at her for a minute. I was like, oh my God, Kim. Like, she was my babysitter when I was like under the age of 10. And so there's this warm, safe person who I've literally known my entire life. And she's the one who's going to help me. She's the one who's going to walk me through the steps I need to take to be free, to travel, to be free, to be employed, to be free, to be an adult again. So it was so interesting that I carried so much fear. And then when I got there, my guides were like, here's literally one of the safest people. This person used to have guardianship over you when you were little. And I'm just like honestly realizing this as I'm telling you this now. So I'm like kind of a little bit emotional about how protected I am. So that's the same thing. Divine Masculine has to just cut out this avoidant behavior and recognize that once he goes into that room to ask for what he needs, the person that's going to greet him is going to be one of the safest, warmest, most helpful energies that he could possibly hope for, and that it will go smoothly. And that if there were any little things that made it difficult, she helped me. She was like on my side, right? There was this one issue I needed some way to prove my name, and we were kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then she was like, wait a minute, over across the room, on the other side of the room, is the place where you get the records from New York State. Weren't you married here? Which she knew because I lived here and she knew me my whole life. And I was like, I was. And she was like, go get your old marriage certificate printed out. That will prove your name. Because I had to prove my maiden name. So I went over there, walked over there, printed it out, brought it back over, and got my license. She helped me over any little thing that would come up. And that's what this masculine energy needs to keep in mind. The feminine energy is not going to hurt him. She's going to help him. His feelings, his emotions, that's actually going to help him get through this conversation. So he can't have any fear of it anymore. He needs to bravely and directly communicate. That is how there will be harmony between these two. For feminine energy, what will bring harmony to what she's thinking, feeling, saying, doing? The Eight of Swords. Look at how we move from the 7 to the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords is about having either healthy or unhealthy boundaries. So you kind of have to feel out for yourself. Are you a person that doesn't have good boundaries with people? Or are you somebody that has become a little bit jaded and it's very difficult to kind of get through those obstacles that you kind of put in front of people? Feel that out for yourself. The other element that's active here is understanding that all those things, all those thoughts I had, which was what the swords are, all the thoughts I had about how hard it was going to be to get my license, how difficult it was going to be, the bad things that could possibly happen. What did I say it was? It was an illusion. It was me being in a prison of my own thinking. There was no reason for me to be on guard. There was no reason for me to protect myself. No one was going to lie to me or try to steal or take anything from me. Nothing like that. So that's what the feminine energy has to do. She has to recognize that this masculine energy has nothing but good intentions. There is no reason to put up any barriers or boundaries or act aggressively in any way. And the way that you might have been thinking about the connection is an illusion. What's the happiness potential? Oh, okay. We have the Hermit energy, but it's coming out with the Wheel of Fortune, which is about change. These are both major arcana cards, and I think it's very, very significant that we had the start of the reading was 2 major arcana with the High Priestess and the Moon, and the end is 2 major things. So like I said, major shift happening. What is the shift? Being alone and on your own is changing. So I think the happiness potential is very good between the two of them. I think if they move from an energy of protecting themselves by going it alone and instead start to work together and communicate and build the connection together, we will see the masculine and feminine energy finally come together. What would the divine masculine say to the divine feminine if he could? Okay, first of all, this is the whale, okay, which I always associate with communication. Whale spirit, and trust the great mystery, which is all what we said. Trust is the High Priestess card. Mystery also is the Moon card. Trust the great mystery is literally your lesson of this week. Trust the great mystery, okay? So here is what divine masculine would say to the feminine energy right now. Perhaps what he will say. Whale spirit is an ancient creature who was here at the beginning of time and who has seen everything, felt everything, and heard everything that has ever transpired on this planet. In the hidden realms where all things must gather first before manifesting into form, I recognize us. as the keepers, singing the soul of the whole world from the deepest waters of the coldest seas. When we appear, it is a reminder that there is a great mystery that we must accept without intellectually trying to understand it. Some things cannot be known by the mind, only experienced through the heart, through intuition, and through the peripheral senses that part the invisible veils separating the visible world from the great manifesting consciousness in the hidden realms. Now is the time for us to immerse ourselves in the great mystery of spirit, and to trust that within the invisible, what we can't see now, are the seeds of our intentions being tended to by angels. So this is a divine masculine that is telling the feminine energy that he understands now that he just has to trust these deep feelings and trust that he will be able to find the words, which is literally something I said this week. Trust yourself to find the words. He's expressing to the divine feminine, I recognize that I can and must do that. Divine feminine to the masculine, hawk spirit, let spirit be your guide. This is what she would say. This is number 32 to the divine masculine. Flying high above the landscape, I see both the big picture and the small details. Observe the rain and the pond as well as the cloud, and I don't miss anything. When I arrive, you are called to pay close attention to messages from spirit that can appear anywhere in any form. Listen to your intuition and keep your eyes open for synchronicities, the meaningful coincidences. I ask you not to dismiss the signs that spirit is sending to guide you. Lately, have you been hearing the same word or song or coming across the same symbol here, there, and in the strangest places? Perhaps you hear a song on the radio with just the right lyric pertaining to your query, or you begin to notice uncanny billboards, license plates, or other places where repetitive numbers or words show up for you to notice. Pay attention to the animals that appear for you and connect with their symbolism. Spirit wants to communicate and reaches out again and again. And I would say, I want to communicate and reach out to you again and again. When I appear, it is a sign to listen. So, Divine Feminine is saying you can trust the messages I've been sending you. Yes, when I've posted things, it's been for you. Now remember, this isn't just you saying this to your person because you associate yourself with feminine energy. This is also if your person is sending messages and you've been like, I don't know if it's for me or not. This is saying, yes, you can trust those things are for you. And it is time, in fact, to trust in that exchange and in the deeper feelings that are there. And then to listen when this person comes forward to actually communicate and express to you. Your advice for this week, I can't believe it, is faith. The guardian angel energy of faith, okay? And the message for this card is... I haven't used this deck probably in years. This is one of my first decks that I had. So, think of all the miracles you've experienced in your life so far. This card asks you to have faith that heaven will continue to help and support you along the way. Your faith is a key factor right now, and it is important that you keep it strong. Like the angel in this card's painting, you're about to take a leap of faith. The message is that it's safe for you to make this leap. You are finally following your heart's wisdom, and it will pay you unseen dividends. The situation you're contemplating is the right path, provided that you keep the faith. Your steady optimism will attract the opportunities and support you need, but any pessimism will push away or slow your progress. Before you go to sleep each night, ask your guardian angel to clear away any fears that keep you from enjoying full faith. In the morning, you'll notice your renewed and increased belief. Remember that with faith, all things are possible. Oh my Lanta, I'm getting so many personal messages right now that I just can't even, it's crazy. Okay, and the final card for this entire reading is the Thoth reading, which, as you know, I do use this card from today's reading and the one from the general week ahead reading to do an extended reading for subscribers over at passes.com/pearlsprayer. So I'm going to read this card meaning, give you affirmations, and there will be questions associated with it. And those questions I will then answer this week at passes.com, most likely on Monday. And if you didn't see the last few that I've done, they're all available. And when you do become a subscriber, the first month is free. So you can basically go over there now and subscribe and get a free month and check it out and make sure that it is for you. This card is the 8 of Cups. And this says the 8 of Cups has driven the debauchery of the 7 to absolute excess. The delusions have lost all attraction, and all that's left is frustration. The sequence of the numbers has reached hold, calling for structure and logic, but the emotional waters cannot be happy with this call and remain in dumb resignation. The 8 of Cups tells us to abandon the past, leave the current situation, make up our minds most honestly, and open our eyes to upcoming changes. The 8 of Cups also suggests you sense that something is missing, particularly on an emotional or spiritual level, and instead of waiting around for things to get better, you know you need to leave that unfulfilling situation. It may not make sense to others because on the face it looks as if you have everything you had wished for, but deep down you know it is not serving your highest good, and it is time for you to let go and move on. Indolence arises when energy is blocked and where it is beginning to stagnate. This is obviously a nasty and potentially dangerous situation which must be addressed if it is to be cleared out of the way. You may, though, feel tired and apathetic about challenging issues which seem too big or too stubborn to deal with. If you are currently feeling quite trapped by life, then today is a day where you can make a profound difference to the way things around you are affecting you. Target one area which is taking more energy from you than it gives back. Think through your reactions and responses to this situation. Consider whether you're tending to slide a bit toward feeling like a victim. Don't judge this, consider it. If you judge something that sensitive, you will become defensive and therefore be unable to tackle the problem properly. If you, after analysis, decide that you are contributing to the difficulty, then you have it in your power to simply refuse to worsen it with a negative attitude. If on reflection you feel that the problem is not yours but somebody else's, the first thing you need to do is refuse to react by giving more energy. Just stop. For this day, refuse to play the game. The 8 of Cups signifies time for change or transition by means of walking away from something. Just like a caterpillar has to die before transforming into a beautiful butterfly, we all need to transform ourselves in our lives from time to time. This is the case especially after being tired of living what was the day-to-day and embarking on a journey that will help one have a deeper understanding about life in general. Temporary success, but without further result, things thrown aside as soon as gained, nothing of lasting value, journey from place to place, and searching for riches are all the drive behind this card. The light of this card is transformation, leaving unhappy relationships, and withdrawal. The shadow side is depression, suicidal, whining, instability, and abandonment issues. Reverse this card can indicate to listen to your heart about your next course of action. Others may have an opinion, but it comes down to what's important to you. Only you know whether the situation is serving you and if there is hope for the future. Be mindful of what you want and then check in to see if this move is in alignment with your goals and dreams. That is the overarching feeling I'm getting for this card. I am not getting, it's a negative energy, but one that's more of listening to your heart and trusting in yourself and your heart and being mindful of that, of what you want, and making sure that what you see is really in alignment and it's not just an illusion. The keywords are Saturn in Pisces, restraint, uncertainty, emotional inhibition, laziness, which is a word I do not, it's just gone from my vocabulary. I would say protective energy, swamp, and a need for clear distinctions. The advice is it's time to assess what you are capable of and say no. Perhaps an old pattern of behavior causes you to always direct your love towards people from whom you receive nothing in return. It may also be a sign that you may not dare to accept love. The questions we will ask this week are: who thinks about this? Are you ready to stand up for yourself and be brave? And in what situations did you hide your true feelings? The suggestion is to draw another card asking what will change if you learn to say no. The revelation is develop your own statement according to the cards drawn afterwards. And the affirmation is, my energy is the energy of the universe. My power is my own. So we will do that for the extended reading this week, along with whatever card comes out on Sunday for the general week ahead reading, which is the next reading that I will be doing. I do hope that you loved this reading, that it helped you out, that you learned things, and that you have some faith in what is going to transpire this week for you in regards to love and relationships. Take care, and I will see you on Sunday.